Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our European United Draft Glory franchise mode here in NHL 26. So last episode, if you did not catch it, we had the second round of the playoffs against the Washington Capitals, and we managed to actually beat them surprisingly to get to our first ever conference finals appearance. Now, it was a pretty damn tough series with the Caps, as you could see, kind of flip-flopping between wins and losses, and then we went down 3-2 in the series, and at that point, I was thinking we were going to get eliminated in 6 games. Well, we managed to respond after some line changes. We won 6-1 and got it to a game 7. Game 7 was probably one of the craziest games we've seen in a franchise mode in kind of some time because we were basically down 2-1. We decided to watch the entire third period, and our team was not really generating anything whatsoever. Now, lucky for us, we got a late game power play, and that changed the complexion of that game and the series because our team was able to tie it up with 10 seconds left in the game around. And then basically the first few shifts into overtime, Bob Pocco slapped home a slap shot goal to win us the game and the series in 7. So we got kind of lucky in a little bit, but at the same time, we were able to win, which is huge. And now we're in the conference finals against Tampa, which is going to be an interesting team. They're probably going to be the toughest team we've had to face yet, so I'm hoping we can find a win, because obviously if we could just string together 4 more wins, we could have ourselves in our first ever Stanley Cup Finals and having a chance at our first ever Stanley Cup. So I'm hoping that's the case. This team's been really good defensively, and we have had some good guys offensively too, so I'm hoping that obviously, like I said, we could just string together a couple more wins and get ourselves a chance at that Stanley Cup. So anyways, with that said, let's get into you guys' comments. You guys have to say about last episode, and I'll show you guys Tampa's lines again, just in case you forgot. So the first comment is from Andy, who says, Bob Pocco, what a guy. And yes, sir, Bob Pocco has been really good for us this playoffs, and of course that game-winning goal in overtime is just fitting because of the fact that we named him captain this season. But you can see he's leading us in points right now with 11 points through 12 games, and he's shooting the puck a shit ton, but he's actually shooting the puck the most on the team as a defenseman, which is pretty insane. He's only got the 2 goals, but I do expect him to score more as these games go on. And like I said, he did score the winner to eliminate the Washington Capitals. He also assisted on the goal that tied it and got it to overtime. So Paco has been a very important player to this team, and I'm glad that we decided to name him captain over anybody else on this roster. Next comment is from Sour Taco, says a series for the ages. And yeah, that series was a little nerve-wracking, like I said, when we went down 3-2. And then the fact that we blew them up in game 6 was nice, but then I thought we were going to lack our offense in game 7, which was kind of the case for the most part of the game until the last few minutes, and obviously then we tied the game up on that power play, and in overtime, obviously, we got kind of lucky because they actually hit the post to shift before we ended up winning it, so we got a little bit of luck on our side, but it was enough to get us into this spot, and now hopefully we can relish this opportunity and get ourselves to a final. And the last fellow comment is from I Am the Quiet One, who says, nice series win, Paco is showing his eliteness, and Green is demonstrating why he's our greatest forward still. Also funny that Paco scored on both Crane and Washington's captain. And yeah, that's also kind of funny because yeah, basically the game-winning goal was I think was it it was the captain of the Caps that was basically kind of screening the goalie or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the case was, but definitely some really good work from Bob Pocco in the clutchest moments of the year, and that's what we need from a captain, because guys like Adam Benak weren't really doing that for us in the playoffs. Like, I mean, Adam Benak did have his clutch moments too, I guess, like that shorthanded overtime winner a couple years ago. So there has been some good stuff from our captains, but obviously we haven't had that playoff success to get to a conference finals until this season. So very excited to see if this team is able to get it done. Let's take a look at Tampa again, just in case you forgot, because I honestly forgot a little bit, except for I know that they had weak goaltending, if I remember right. So, oh yeah, their forward group is better than some of the other teams we've faced for sure. So that's going to be an interesting thing as us going up against a forward group like that. Now, they do have a 75 and a 77 playing in the lineup, but obviously an 88 is pretty high. This guy has no X factors though, so I'm kind of wondering if he is kind of not generated as much good stats as he could have had. Like, I guess, yeah, a career high of 81 points as an 88 is kind of interesting, and it was this season. So I guess his entire time in Nashville was kind of lackluster. Nashville is still in the playoffs as well, which is an interesting one. But yeah, we got to watch out for that guy for sure. Jokela, we got to watch out for. Probably a lot of these lower end guys do score too, I would assume. And then from a defensive standpoint, Spike Phillips is the guy that we got to watch out for the most from. This guy is a really good offensive defenseman, so he could definitely help drive their power play. And then goaltending, like I said, they do have some pretty damn weak goaltending, but these goalies have simulated good so far. At least Joel Merson has with a 924. So Let's hope that we're able to beat them, because obviously 278 overalls is pretty lackluster, but it's simulated decent enough for them because they have a good enough team in front of them. So with that said, I think we are going to first do, obviously, our head coaching thing that we did in the last episode. So basically, we are going to, first and foremost, go to the game plan, I guess, which I think, actually, no, it's not the game plan. I thought there was a game plan thing, but we're going to just go to playoffs and talk about the upcoming playoff matchup. So he says, as we prepare for the semifinals against our opponent, the Tampa Bay Lightning, they've been a formidable team throughout the season, and we need to be ready to face them. Okay, so what do we need to focus on? So this is a little bit different than last time, because last time it was saying that the Washington Capitals were a really good power play team or penalty kill team, one of the two. But this one we could choose 5v5 offense, 5v5 defense, power play, penalty kill. We're already a really good defensive team. Offense would be interesting to see if we could improve this. But basically, if we put, so if we put 5v5 offense, it could make us a worse defensive team. If we go better defensively, it might make us worse offensively. And then if obviously we focus on the power play, the penalty kill might be bad. If we focus on penalty kill, the power play might be bad. But I think we'll continue to focus on the power play, because I don't really want to do any of these offense or defense ones, because I think we're already a strong defensive team, and I don't really want to expend our offense even more. So I think I want our power play to improve. So let's keep on working on that power play and making sure that it helps get this series a win, because if our special teams really pick it up, that could definitely be a difference maker with us over a team like Tampa. So anyways, with that said, I think we're ready to get into this matchup. Of course, Tampa does not have a really good record during the season, but the roster is decent on paper. So a little bit nervous about that, but if we could string together, like I said, 4 more wins, we could find ourselves in the Stanley Cup Finals. So obviously, we got to try our best here. So let's get to game number 1 on home ice and see if we could ride some momentum after that overtime victory against the Washington Capitals. First period, let's see what happens. And 1-1. Okay, that's not terrible. We did score first, and it was with 1:16 left in the period, and then they answered literally back 30 seconds or so later. So 2 goals for both teams combined, but they were both in the final few minutes of the period. We only had 6 shots the entire period, but we have a goal. So I don't know why our team hasn't generated a ton of chances so far, but Tampa is outplaying us by a decent chunk. Ahinen tied it up for them. So far, Simic is settling in quite well. He's definitely been a reason why this game is even close. But obviously, we need our offense to generate some more chances, especially at 5-on-5. So, can we find a way to get that lead back? Second period. 3-3. Damn, this is an offensive base here as we took the lead again. Pollock shorthanded. Then Lekiermaki scored on the power play to make it a 2 game. Then Mullen scored to make it a 3-2 game, and then Silverthorne tied it up. So it seems like right now, every time we score, they have an answer to it. Shots are still in their favor, 23-15, but we are tied at 3, so we're lucky that we're scoring goals consistently. I think it's probably because Hjalmarsson's a lower-end goaltender, but Simic is having a tough time here as well. And this is definitely not a strong game for him, but he's lucky that our offenses came to play. The real question is, can we get that lead back again? Because we've had the lead a lot of times in this game, but we haven't been able to find a way to hold on to that lead for that long. So let's see what happens in the third period, see if we could get any insurance, like get 2 goals at least in this period, and not have a 1-goal lead the entire time, because these 1-goal leads are not very easy to contain. Third period underway. Can we get that lead back? It's been an interesting game so far. Wasn't really expecting a full-on offensive series, but kind of an interesting one so far. Penalty kill, nicely done, penalty killers. Power play for us. Our power play had a focus, but it does not score there. That's unfortunate, and then Jokela gives Tampa the lead. God damn it. I knew they were eventually going to get the lead because they hadn't had the lead all night, and they are going to find a way to win the game on our home ice. So that's definitely a tough one. I'm not going to fully put that game on Simic. I'm probably going to put that on our defensive core for letting them badly outshoot us in the first, and our offense for maybe not generating a lot of chances in that first period either. But we only lose by a goal, but we had to lead so many times. It's just we could not hold on to it. So a tough game to lose, especially considering they ran a 78 overall goaltender. But obviously, there's still a lot of series potentially left to go. So let's forget about this game and let's try and find a way to improve next one. But Rankin from Law and Pollock. We have Pollock from Klinga and Mullen from Kuda and Paco. So unfortunately for us, it looks like some of their top guys got going. Jokela Ahinen, Phillips had an assist, so definitely got to do a better job at containing guys like that. It does suck to lose a home game, especially in the conference finals, but if we could find a way to win a game in their arena, it won't be as bad. But yeah, Simic did have some pretty bad stats, but at the same time, it could have been our defensive play in front of him that really let us down in that one. So that's why I didn't put a focus on offense for 5v5, just because our defensive play could have been even worse if we did that. But Polak still got first start of the game in that one, and then Jokela for them and Mullen for us. So definitely one we could have won because, like I said, we had the lead so many times. But you know, when you get the lead 3 times and they answer back all the time, that they're going to find a way to win somehow. So definitely a tough one, but let's maybe make some line adjustments for game number 2. Because obviously if we lose this game, then we're going to have to find a way to win both games in Tampa, and that is going to be a tough task probably. So we're going to go back to our original lines, because I forgot that I had my lines all jumbled up. I'm going to go back to the original lines we had for the beginning of this playoffs, just to kind of play around with things a bit, I think. Yeah, I think that's going to be the play here. And then from a defensive standpoint, we are going to go back to our same defensive pairings that we had before. Even though Polak was really good in game 1, I'm just going to try to go back to the original roster that got us to these playoffs and see if it's ready to go again. So Klinga, Green, and Hromis are back together again, and we'll see if that works out or not. Green obviously was a big factor why we won last game against Washington, so we got to find a way to win games obviously here in the conference finals as well, because if we don't, of course, this is not going to be, I would say, a failure of a season if we lose in this round, but at the same time, we are kind of dwindling down in time to actually win a Stanley Cup in, because guys like Klinga are going to be dropping off soon. Same goes with Bob Potko. So we want to find a way to win as soon as possible here. But anyways, let's get to game number 2. See if we can win this game on home ice. They're 9-2 so far in the playoffs. I didn't even realize their playoff record. So they've been absolutely cruising through teams. So that's a little bit scary. I didn't realize they were that good. If I did, then I would have been like, hey, maybe we should take them a little bit more seriously. But let's see if we can find a way to tie the series up. And then, like I said, at least take a game in Tampa, because they took one of our home games. First period, game 2. And 2-0 us. Good start offensively. A power play goal from Nakamura. And then a couple minutes later, Polak scores again. So far, Polak's been the best player for us here in this conference finals. 3 points in the span of 4 periods. Shots are in our favor, 19-7, so that's definitely a much better first period than last game, because last first period in last game, we had only 6 shots in the first, so definitely starting to find our offensive game, it looks like, and hopefully our defensive game could improve a bit, just because it was not as good in game 1, but I know that it is there still. So can we have a good second period and find a way to maintain this lead going into the third? Second period. 3-0 us. Nice insurance marker. Bob Potko on the power play. Our power play has definitely been working well with focusing on our power plays. So I kind of like that you could actually do that before rounds. Like I said, I didn't know about that until last episode. So that's really cool that you're actually able to kind of focus on a specific area and maybe have a chance to make your power play better. But at the same time, maybe your penalty kill gets a little bit worse. But shots are 30-13 in favor of us. We're up by 3 goals going into the third. Can we find a way to lock this game down? Let's see what happens. Third period underway. And they scored on the first shot of the period. That's not ideal. Jokela made it 3-1, but Nakamura answers back with another goal to make it 4-1. This is looking like a much better game for sure from our team, which is good. Hopefully, like I said, we can continue that momentum into Tampa, because obviously we do need to find a way to win a game in their building still, but I do like that at least we won one of our 2 home games and didn't lose both of them, because losing both of them would have been detrimental, but we went 4-1, outshooting them 43-20, so pretty convincing win there, and we did find our goaltending and defensive game that we had in the playoffs earlier, so as long as that works out well for us going forward, we should be pretty good. So Nakamura from Urquhart and Fernandez, and we had Polak from Green, Potko from Green and Hromis, and Nakamura from Rankin. So Nakamura's up to 7 goals this playoffs. He's been actually quite effective. Roger Green picking up a pair of assists is nice as well, being Mac on that top line, of course. And then once again, Simic having another good game in these playoffs. He's had more good games than bad games, so I've been pretty impressed with him. Nakamura gets first star, Simic second star, and Polak the third star. All right. Well, we're definitely going to keep our lineup the same going into game 3 because it seems like going back to original lines was a good idea. Obviously, we kind of made some drastic adjustments for games 6 and 7 against the Capitals because we wanted to make sure that we were able to find a way to get some wins and most out of our players. So hopefully those players that got demoted back down, like Fernandez, for instance, back down to the third line, hopefully he's able to find some things going for our team and kind of help out with the offense down there as well. So anyways, let's keep the team the same. Might as well head into Tampa and see if we could take a 2-1 series lead here. Like I said, if we win any of these 2 games, that'd be nice. If we could find a way to win both of them, that would be even more fantastic. But let's see if we could find a way to show that we're a good road team as well. Because we've been pretty good, I think, on the road so far this playoff run. Might as well see if we could continue to do that. All right, here we go. Game 3 in Tampa. Looking to find a way to win on the road. Can we find a way to score first? First period. 1-0 Tampa. Not terrible, not terrible. Shots are at least even. It's not like we're getting drastically outplayed. It's just the difference is 1 shot equals 1 goal. So they have 12 shots on goal. We have 13. They're up 1-0. And the difference is just Kraus right now. So we're still in this. Obviously sucks to be trailing, but obviously at the same time, we know our team has offense in them and good defensive play. So if we play good defensively in this second period and find a way to score a goal, we could be back to square one again. So can we find a way to tie this game up in the second or even grab the lead for that matter? Second period. 2-0 Tampa. Oof, our offense is kind of struggling here in this one. Shots are 27-17 in favor of us. Right now, we're just getting pretty much goalied. And I'm not blaming Simic in this game either, really, because 2 goals on 17 shots. It is not the best, of course, but obviously at the same time, maybe there are grade A chances that they're scoring on. The fact that we haven't scored on 27 shots is probably the worst part about this game so far, because we're definitely having really good looks. It's just the goaltender is being a big difference maker right now for them. So we got to find a way to crack him. Obviously, we scored a good amount of goals on him last game. We should be able to still score goals on him in this game. So let's see what happens in this third period. See if we could get an early goal, and then maybe we can find a way to tie this one up. Third period underway. Come on, boys. If we get an early goal, we could definitely still win this. We definitely could still win this. And it's not going to be good because Conacher makes it 3-0. Well, looks like Tampa's going to win their first home game. So far, a little bit of a back-and-forth series, it seems like. As we do break the shutout, at least Fernandez makes it a 3-1 game. But our offense just not able to find ways to score consistently on Hjalmarsson right now as Dice makes it 4-1, and that will be the final. So after we won 4-1, they bounced back with a 4-1 game. So not a great defensive effort from our team, and also a lack of finish because we scored 1 goal on 38 shots. Yeah, that's not great. All right, well, this is an interesting series. Definitely could go to 7 games, I feel like, at this point, if it continues like this. But obviously, we got to find a way to win next game, because or else if we don't, we'll be in a really bad spot. But Fernandez with our only goal from Powell and Law. So we are going to have to probably make some adjustments before next game, I'm guessing. Jeez, Klingele, Paco, a lot of our main guys were badly minus in that one. And then Simic posted an 862. Interesting. We got goalied by a 78 overall of all things. That guy's literally listed as a minor starting goaltender too. That's the crazy thing. Oh man, all right. Trying to think of what I should do. Should I give another game to our other goaltender Enforcer because this could be his last season with the team? Should I not? Simic has a 920 save percentage in the playoffs. And as of the last little bit, he's had 3 good games of the last 5, so majority he's been good. But if you go back to 7 games, he's had 4 bad games out of the last 7. Maybe I'll give him another day off and Forster could come back in. But the last time Forster played, he was absolutely abysmal. He allowed 3 goals on 19 shots, which is not very good, of course. So, I could still give him a game and trust him. Is it a good time to do it? I honestly have no idea. I'm probably going to make some other line adjustments here accordingly too, though. Let's go Fernandez back to the wing. Bradford back down the middle. We are going to make our 4th line maybe a bit more defensive again. That might not be a bad idea. Bradford's a +3. How's Baird's +6? Damn, that's actually better than I expected. I think I'm going to take Mullen out of the lineup. And I'm going to keep Baird at center. I'm going to get Nichols into the 4th line just to help out with the defensive play a little bit. Actually, I'm going to go with this still. And then for the top 6, I'm going to still swap up Hiromis and Klinga. So I'm going to go Nakamura, Green, Klinga, McElhinney, Rankin, and Hiromis. Because I feel like Hiromis doesn't work well with Klinga. Rankin's also still been bad in the plus-minus department. So you know what? I'm going to actually go Fernandez as the second line center. And we'll go Bradford playing with Rankin and Law, just to make sure we're a little bit better defensively in our top six. And then defensively, we're going to still go back to these defensive pairings that we had originally before as well. And goaltending, do I want to give Simic the next game again? Or is he tired from playing too many games? Because he did play a lot of games during the regular season, 70 games. So he might be a little bit exhausted. So this might be a pivotal point in the series, but I'm going to give Forster a game and let Simic get maybe a little bit more rest again. Last time we did it, it worked out well in the sense that Forster didn't play good in that game, but Simic came back and was a lot better once he was in the lineup. So I think that might not be a bad plan to do that. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to go with. Yep, let's do it. Let's do it. See if splitting up Hiromis and Klinga could work well for this team. Obviously, it's only a 2-1 series lead right now for Tampa, but if we lose this game, we're going to be in a really bad spot. So I think that making some line adjustments is important. Nashville's up 3-0 on Calgary, so it looks like whoever ends up winning the series, regardless, will have to take on a tough Nashville Predators team, because we know that Parenteau is there, who was a franchise player that went first overall a couple of years back. So let's see if we could find a way to win a game in Tampa. Like I said, we need to win at least one of these two games in Tampa, or else we're in a pretty bad predicament. So can we find a way to win on the road in Tampa and tie the series at 2? This is a pivotal point in the series, guys. We got to find a way to win. We got to find a way to win. First period. And 4-1 for Europe. Holy crap. The team listened. The team listened. I was not expecting a 4-goal first period. This has been a really weird series so far, but Klinga opens the scoring less than a minute in. Hiromis then scores on the power play. Cooperman makes it a 2-1 game for them. So at that point, looking pretty damn close. But then Fernandez scores, and with 1 second left on the clock, Powell scores to make it a 4-1 game. 4 goals on 13 shots. So Hjalmarsson right now for them has been really weird. He's either been really good or really bad. So I'm really liking that start to our game, of course, but it is still a 3-goal game, so it is still kind of close in a way, so a little nervous about that. But if our team can play really good in the second period, we should be able to find a way to tie the series up heading back home. And at this rate, I definitely feel like this series could go to 7. But let's see if we have a good second period, just like we did first. Second period. 6-3. What the hell is even happening? Damn. Urquhart made it literally a 5-1 game. Silverthorne and Conacher get them back to a 5-3 game. But then we get a power play goal from McElhinney to restore another 3-goal advantage. So we're in a pretty good spot. But obviously, being up 6-3 makes me think of all those 7-6 sim engines I've seen. And I don't know if I want to see that. So shots are 25-16 in favor of us. They still have Hjalmarsson in net, surprisingly. Maybe he's pulled for the third. It's not been a good game really for Forster either, allowing 3 goals on 16 shots. But like I said, he's basically in net to basically give a chance for Simic to get some rest before next game. So let's find a way to win this with Forster in net, and then Simic can come back in, and hopefully he's back to where he was when he was like a Vezina Trophy winning goaltender. So let's see what happens in the third period, see if we're able to lock this game down and tie the series up at 2. Third period underway. Power play for us, and we immediately score. Fernandez makes it a 7-3 game. Holy. Was not expecting this type of an offensive explosion from our team, because kind of in the playoffs in the past, we've had really trouble scoring goals. We've been a good defensive team, but this year I feel like it's been definitely a bit of a different roster, as we're going to come into Tampa and win 7-3 and tie the series at 2, out shooting them 37-22. So if we only found a way to win last game, we outshot them, but we didn't score goals. This time we actually get goal scoring, so will be interesting to see how the rest of the series goes, but at least it's now tied at 2. So we had Klinga from Green. Geez, I combined Klinga and Green's name, but Klinga from Green, Hiromis from Green and Klinga. We had Fernandez from McElhinney and Hiromis, Powell from Kuda, Urquhart from Nichols and Barrett, McElhinney from Fernandez and Rankin, and Fernandez from Lee. So bunch of different guys with some points in this one. A lot of good depth scoring. Fernandez with a 3-point night is fantastic to see. Seems like that second line's a decent spot for him right now, being next to, of course, Hiromis. Maybe that's also what helped out Hiromis and McElhinney too. And Nichols being a +2 and having an assist is great to see as well on that fourth line. We put him in for the defensive play, and he helped us out with an offensive play, so that's good to see as well. Nakamura didn't do really anything. We just did Paco and all that, so some big players didn't do much in that game, but that's okay. And then goaltending, Forster's numbers in 864 is not good, but like I said, it was basically to give Simic some rest, and our team managed to win it, so... Fernandez gets first star, Klingon a second star, and Silverthorne a third star, so... Back to square one again. It's a 2-2 series heading back home. If we could find a way to win this next one, of course, we'll be one win away from the Stanley Cup Finals. Nashville has pulled off the sweep of the Calgary Flames, which is kind of scary. Like I said, I don't know if I like our odds against a Nashville team if we do get to the finals, but maybe we're going to be able to find a way to beat them. They do have a really solid roster, I'm pretty sure. Like, I know Parento, like I said, is there. I think they have some other elite players, but it's definitely going to be a tough task if we do have to face them, so... Anyways, I think we are going to keep the same lines as last game, except for obviously Simic is back in net now. I think that's the only thing that's going to change. Like, I think having Fernandez on the second line is a good spot for him, actually. 90 passing. Him next to a player like Hromis should be able to set him up. McElhinney, of course, being a two-way forward, or actually he's a sniper as well. They both should be able to score a decent amount of goals next to a good playmaker like that. Then again, Rankin also has good passing, but it's not as good as Fernandez, so maybe that's going to be a difference maker now. And then hopefully our defensive core continues to play good, and hopefully having Nichols on that fourth line can continue with the good defensive play, because not that I like hate Mullen, he's just more of a defensive liability in a way. He does have the good awareness, and stick checking is okay, but I still don't know if I would trust a sniper fully being on the fourth line. We could put him back in one of these games coming up, but I think obviously we'll probably wait till the finals if we do get there, because Nichols right now is definitely a better defensive forward. As you can see with like 85 defensive awareness, his puck control is a 99, so he should be able to get that puck out of the zone kind of easily, and I think that's important for us right now. So let's go back to Simic in net and see if Simic is ready to return, and if obviously he plays bad again, maybe I'll go back to Forster again, but I think Simic just needed a little bit of rest, and if he could play like he did when he came back the last time he got benched, he should be really good in this game potentially, so... Let's see if we could take our first lead of the series since, I guess technically we've never led the series. Let's see if we could take our first lead of the series. If we could find a way just to win this home game, we'll be in a potentially a good spot. Just got to find a way to get it done. So, game number 5, back on home ice. Can we win in front of our fans like we did in game 2? First period. 1-0 us. Good defensive start. Fernandez opens the scoring. So, I think Fernandez is in a really good spot to succeed on that second line. I know that we have Rankin signed up long term and he's listed as a second line forward, but maybe we want to think more if we want to use him as a third line center with some power play time for his entire career, because that might not be a bad spot. Maybe Fernandez is the better option to have on that second line instead. But shots are 14-4 in favor of us, so we're dominating the play so far, but Hjalmarsson has kept them in the game. We are obviously leading so far. We're playing some good defensive hockey, not giving him a lot. Let's see if we could keep that up in the second period. Second period. Oh, man, that's terrible. 3 unanswered goals from Tampa. I kind of felt like it, since they only had 4 shots in the first, that they were going to have a good second. Lakir Mackey makes it 1-1. A couple minutes later, Ahinen makes it 2-1. And then a goal from Jokela makes it 3-1. The shots are now even 17 apiece. So they badly outshot us in that second period, and they end up getting that lead by 2 goals. That is a disappointing period. Like I said, this series has been really back and forth so far. I have no idea what to expect going forward in the series, but if we end up losing this game, we got to find a way to win in Tampa in Game 6, which is going to be really tough. So we need to have a huge third period here. I don't care who it is on our roster, but somebody needs to set the tone early in the third and get us back in this. Third period underway. Can we get an early goal to pull within 1? Because that could definitely change things. And so far, we're getting goalied since our first goal of the game, of course, which is not ideal. Come on, boys. Just give me a goal, and then hopefully we can find a way to tie it up. Hey, we do get a go within a goal. Fernandez picks this a 1-goal game. Can we tie it up? We're in the final minute. We're on the power play late, and we don't score on that one, and they get a goal, and it's not even an empty netter. God damn it. Cooperman ends the game. It's a 4-2 final. We outshot them 28-24, so lower shooting game. The difference in the game is the fact that we sat back way too much in that second period. It just is. Because we badly outshot them in the first, and they badly outshot us in that second, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, 13-3 in that second period, and that's how they scored 3 goals. I am definitely not blaming Simic on that game. Second period is just an abysmal play from our defensive core in that one. That's a tough loss. That's a tough loss because when we scored first, I thought maybe we had a better chance, but then we absolutely played like trash in that second. But Fernandez gets both goals. The first one from Hromis, the second one from Paco and Lee. But we're on the brink of elimination going into Tampa, which is not ideal. So far, Fernandez has probably been our best player in the series. Simic had some bad numbers again, but like I said, I wouldn't fully blame him just because of how our defensive core played. I would also say the fact we got goalied in that first period was not ideal. So, do I need to make any line adjustments before Game 6? Oh, God damn it. Like I said, this series definitely could go 7 games. The way it's been playing has been so weird, though. Like a 4-3 loss, a 4-1 win, a 4-1 loss, a 7-3 win, a 4-2 loss. We got to find a way to win this and get it to a Game 7, right? And then hopefully win on home ice, I would hope. Because we have not led in this entire series up to this point. Do I want to make some adjustments? How did Nichols play last game in terms of defensive play? Looks like he was minus. Yeah, he was a -1 through 6 minutes. Let's go to a different look for our fourth line again. We are going to actually keep Kuda on that right side, I think. We are probably going to move Barrett over to the left side, I guess. How's Barrett's defensive rating? 89 defensive awareness. That's actually pretty damn good. Bradford is an 86. That's fine. I think we're going to take Nichols out again and give Miller an opportunity to play in this game. Miller should help us a little bit defensively, and he's also got solid face-off stats that I think I could trust him in that predicament. Barrett's probably the better centerman. Yeah, Barrett could win more face-offs, but he's a playmaker. Do I just change the fourth line to a full-on shutdown line? But that might sacrifice some of our offense. How was Barrett last game, out of curiosity? Even 0. He did have an assist a couple games ago, +2. He hasn't been a minus player in quite some time, so I guess I could keep... He did have some penalty minutes, though. He had 2 minor penalties last game, which could have cost us the game. You know what? Let's go with a full-on defensive fourth line. We'll get Nichols back in again, but we'll have Miller in at that center spot and Kuda. So it's a full-on two-way forward fourth line. Our other 3 lines, we could move Hromis back up to the top line if we want to. Nakamura has actually been a little bit quieter since moving to the top line again. So let's go Nakamura down. I do need Klinga to start producing. He's been actually kind of quiet in the series too. Like he only has 2 points in that one game, 1 point in the first game of the series. So he's only got 1 goal the entire series. He needs to be scoring a bit more if he can, which he should be able to. And then aside from that, though, do I want to make any adjustments accordingly? I don't think so. There, defensively, we'll go back to our original defensive core, I think. And in goaltending, Simic was not very good in that game. But he's got to have a good game eventually, you'd think. You'd think he would. He's definitely had more struggles later in the playoffs than earlier on. I could go back to Forster again, but Forster, even though he won that game, his numbers really did not look that good either. So, I would put it more on our defense than our goaltending, maybe, in a way. So, I think we're going to go with this as our team. I think. McElhinney's only got, like, the 1 goal in the playoffs, right? Yeah, that's not great. Maybe if I swapped sides for him and Nakamura, that could help things out, because obviously McElhinney's a left-handed shot. Nakamura's a right-handed. Maybe try and get them some one-timers off. Yeah, I think that's really all I could do. I could reach into the AHL, but I don't think any of these guys would really help us that much more. So we got to hope that we find a way to win this game in Tampa. It's a tough building to play in. We did find a way to win last time we were in Tampa by a pretty convincing score. And it's been a back and forth series so far. So let's get to Game 6. Real-time simulation for this game. See if we could force a Game 7 back on home ice again. And hopefully if we do get to a Game 7 again, we find a way to win on home ice this time. Let's see what happens. Actually, technically we did win in Game 7 against Washington, but let's see if we could get it done this time and get it to a Game 7. Power play for us early in the game, and McElhinney scores. We were literally just talking about only having 1 goal this entire playoffs, and he already opens the score in here. So that's a really good way to start off this game, but we need to make sure that we keep on adding goals if possible. And we're getting a long power play chance there, but we don't score. We're badly out shooting him, kind of like last game in a way, which is not ideal. 10-2 to shots. Damn. We've done a really good job at limiting our chances in the first, but then we kind of sit back a bit and we're like, oh yeah, we're just out playing these guys. And then all of a sudden they have the energy and they come back in these type of games. So it's good to be up 1-0, but obviously still a lot of game left to go. So make sure we have a good second period here, get some insurance, and hopefully this is an easier game for us than last game was, because last game was way too tough. Second period underway. Can we get some insurance, please? Power play again for us, and they get a goal. I knew they were going to goal since we're badly out shooting them. And now all of a sudden their shots are really close to ours, but Klinga gives us the lead. All right. Damn. This is a weird game so far again. This has been an interesting series. We also called out Klinga for not scoring a goal really much in the series, and he already scores as well in this game. So I guess technically anybody I call out will do good stuff for us. But shots are 21-14. They did generate a lot of chances early into the period, but then they kind of sat back a bit again, and Klinga gave us the lead. So it is nice to be up by a goal going into the third, but we got to be mindful that Tampa can't score goals in bunches. So let's find a way to get some insurance, please, because I don't like only being up by a goal. Third period underway. Come on, boys. Give me a third goal on our team. Give me a third goal on our team. Or just good defensive play. Spike Phillips ties the game up at 2. God damn it, and they get the lead. No, Forster's in net. Did Simic get hurt? Roger Green ties the game up. That's good to see, but they get the lead back in with 10 minutes to go. You know what? We're going to jump in and watch this. This game seems like it's absolutely bonkers, and the fact that Forster's in net is kind of weird. I think maybe Simic got hurt in this game. I'm not too sure, but we are trailing in this game in Tampa, and we got to find a way to tie it up. So the only way to change how this game's playing is jump in and watch. So let's see if that actually changes things and helps us get to a game 7. Maybe it's not a good thing for me to jump in here, but this seems like a game that we want to watch. So let's jump on in and see if this team could find a way to tie it up, because I don't like that they keep scoring goals despite them not having a lot of shots in that first period. All right, well, hopefully Forster is good. I think he should be still in net unless the game put him back out again, because it typically does that. But maybe Simic got hurt. Honestly, I have no idea. Romas will walk in to start to jump in, and he gets a good chance out of the gate, and Hjalmarsson will freeze it with 7:28 left. We're out shooting him 27-20, but we're down by a goal. This has been a really weird series, and there goes Forster. Forster's coming back out. Simic's coming back in. I see. Why does it always do that? It's, I know, a glitch. Like then goalies change in Sim Engine, and then you jump in, it always changes it back up again. But Simic is back in. I don't know if he just had to go to the bathroom or something like that, but at least he's back in. He's not been super great in this game either, but Forster might be the goalie of record in this one. Here's a shot from Lee, deflected to the net. I think that actually got to the net, and the goalie just barely made a save on that. Jesus. If only we could have found a way to tie it there. Get away, guys. Paco turns it over. Kindle a couple good chances, and Simic makes 2 big saves. Damn. That was scary. Kraus again in the slot. Another save from Simic. We got to get out of our zone here, boys, because they almost have full pressure. Hromis will hold on to it, find Roger Green, and we get out. Lead to Klinga. Rudolph Klinga. We're looking for a big goal from the German, potentially. Klinga still with it. Klinga throws it to the point. Bob Paco, a bomb. It's blocked, and it goes pinballs to the corner. Paco's got always such a hard shot, it seems like. Here's Benjamin Kindle again. Kindle will shoot it again, and another save from Simic as they still almost have full pressure. Simic's made some good saves since we've jumped in here, but I am a little bit nervous with this game, man. A little bit nervous. I feel like this series could have gone either way. If we end up losing the series, I don't think it's for the lack of effort. I just feel like a couple small mistakes in certain periods have really cost us. The fact that we've been out shooting teams and then not scoring more than a goal has cost us. So we still need to find that offensive depth, scoring a bit more consistently. But we are still within 1, so we just got to find a way to get that next one. As another shot in, Simic will see that too. 3:52 left. Maybe the game will give the Tampa Bay Lightning a penalty here late or something, and then we could get a power play chance. But we got to get out of our own zone here first here. There's not a lot of time left on this game, so... And I want to force a game 7 if we can. Dig to Ahinen. Tampa's fastening it around. Conacher turns it over. McElhaney's got it. McElhaney's always the guy to intercept pucks. Here he is again. He turns it over. Here comes Jonathan Lekiramaki. Lekiramaki walking in. Nice stick there by Urquhart. I think that was Urquhart or one of those two guys on defense. Yeah, it was Urquhart. Okay, good. He throws it up to McElhaney. McElhaney drives into the zone. Fernandez, a good-looking shot turned away. Fernandez again. Throws it over. Lost shot. I don't know if that actually got on net or not. It caused full pressure. But that shot either was going in or going wide. I don't know if it hit off the side of the net or not. But a good looking chance there to tie this game. As we head almost into the final minute. Now we're into the final minute. Here comes Law. He has no speed whatsoever and he turns it over. And now they have a breakaway. Cooperman behind the defense. Throws a Silverthorn and a big save by Simic. Oh my goodness. Come on, guys. There's not enough time. We got to get into their zone and get a face-off again. Maybe we have still some late-game heroics in us. Another chance for Cooperman turned away as they nearly have full pressure. Law gets it up. And we're going to have to pull our goalie soon, or else we're not going to get much of a chance. We dump it in, which I don't know if I like that play, but that's the coach's decision on that. Couple big hits there from 68, whoever that is, but none of our teammates are even forechecking for that puck. Man, we're not going to lose this game because this AI is just dumb. Silverthorn will dump in again. We're into the final 15 seconds. We got to get out of our zone fast here, boys. We haven't even pulled the goalie yet. Law will carry it up into the final 10 seconds. Rankin throws it over. Not a great pass, and Hromis goes offside with 7.1 as we do have an empty net. Yeah, our team's not even knowing how to break it into the zone now. You just know the game wants to get Tampa to the finals at this point. Oh, come on, guys. We have time still on the clock. We've had some late goals before. Rogers just got to win this draw, and then we got to get into their zone. Roger does win it. Lee throws it to Polak. Polak, come on, guys. We don't have a lot of time. You got to get a shot off. You got to get a shot off, not making some moves. And Hromis makes the move to get by, but he takes way too long. And we're going to be eliminated in 6 games in the conference finals because the AI just likes to think that they have way more than 5 seconds. And unfortunately, after what looked like an interesting series, we unfortunately will pack our bags 6 games into the conference finals. That really sucks. That really sucks. I don't know if that's our window. It's not fully closed the window, but that definitely has the window coming down a little bit, I feel like. Because like I said, a lot of these guys are getting older on this team. And they might start to dwindle off a little bit. So we got to hope that we could come back next year and win another President's Trophy and go far again. But this is kind of disappointing to lose in round 3. But at the same time, we got to think that we have a lot of a roster signed up in the next year. The major difference is this offseason, though, is that guys like Urquhart might be leaving the team more than likely. So our defensive core might look a little bit different. But I still think there's some promise and a chance that this team could obviously win a Stanley Cup. But unfortunately, it won't happen this season because we barely lose this one. But that was so stupid, though. Like, there's, like, no time left on the clock. You can see, like, literally on the boards, 4.1. They just take so long to get into zone. And then Hromis sees that there's 2.2, but he decides that he needs to make a deke here instead of just shooting this to the net. And then if there was a little bit more time left on the clock, he could have had a really good look here, I think. But unfortunately, there's not enough time on the clock. And boom, the game ends. Well, that is disappointing. That is disappointing, but definitely, we had a decent-looking game, but we played pretty bad in that third period. In terms of shots on goal, at least, or goals, I should say, against. Because it looked like at one point we were going to potentially win this game when Klinga scored. But, of course, Spike Phillips kind of sparked their comeback. So, Mankalini from Rankin and Lee. We had Klinga from Green from Paco, and Hromis. And, unfortunately, our season is done in the conference finals. 2-point game for Green is good, but Simic was really good, and then for some reason Forster came in the lineup, though. I don't really know if there was actually an injury to Simic and he still put him in afterwards, but Forster was absolutely atrocious. 3 goals on 12 shots, and that's the difference in the game right there. He was in net for all 3 of those goals against, I think, in the third, right? Let's double check on that. Yeah, he was in net for all 3 goals in that third period. Before that period, he was not in net whatsoever. So I'm wondering if the game injured Simic technically just to make Tampa win that game. But I don't know. A little bit of a controversy for Tampa to win that, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Hopefully Simic's okay if he is injured, which he is not injured. So see, I don't really know what happened. Maybe there was an injury in game that technically was not even that bad of an injury, but the fact that that happened in the third period and the fact that Forster allowed 3 goals, it really sucks. Because Forster's legacy here is a fantastic one, but that's probably the end of his time here. and he goes out on that type of a sour note. So anyways, final few things we got to do to wrap up this episode. Let's take a look at our player stats from the playoffs and find out who ends up winning the Stanley Cup, the awards, that type of thing. But disappointing to lose in the conference finals, but Tampa Nashville will be an interesting Stanley Cup finals, I think. But I don't even know if we would have had much of a chance against Nashville, to be honest. Yeah, that sucks. Best forward on our team was Fernandez with 15 points. I think he's going to be a higher overall for sure next season, so that's exciting. Roger on 14, Hiromus on 13, Nakamura on 11. Klinga on 10, definitely wasn't as strong in the finals, or conference finals, I should say. McElhinney 10. I definitely think this team is better than prior years because our depth scoring was a lot better. But then you look at like some players defensively, like Rankin being a -7 is by far the worst defensive player on the team. But he did help out offensively, so kind of disappointed with some of the results on that. And then from a defensive standpoint, Paco 15 points was really good, of course. He was -1 though. Lee was a -6. Yikes. So our top two kind of got shredded a little bit, but we had really good depth going on our defensive core. And like I said, Urquhart leaving the team won't really leave much of a hole in our lineup because Powell and Richardson both could move up into the top 4 potentially. So I think we're still good defensively. We'll be good goaltending wise, and our forward group should be pretty strong still. Simic posted a .916 save percentage in the playoffs. Forster posted an .830. Yikes. But he did have a win somehow. And like I said, likely Forster's time here is going to be done in the offseason, which is kind of disappointing because he does have a goal in his career, and we'll never forget that moment when he did score. But all right, let's get to the final few things in the episode. Like I said, let's find out who wins the Stanley Cup, draft lottery results, retirements, that type of thing. But kind of disappointed that we end up losing. But at the same time, we got to think that this was our best season yet. So I think there's definitely going to be still some good results coming from this team. I definitely think we're not going to drop off that far yet. So I think the window, I don't even think it's started to close yet. I don't think so. Nashville does win the Stanley Cup. So yeah, I don't know if we would have been able to stand up against a Nashville team like they are, because let's actually go to Nashville's player stats from the playoffs. I'm kind of curious on how good they were. They did manage to sweep the Tampa Bay Lightning, so we probably didn't have much of a chance against them. They only lost 2 games all playoffs, and those were in the first round to the Canucks. They swept the next 3 rounds. So I think we would have had a really tough time against them. That's just my guess. But let's see what they look like, just in case we have to match up against them in a future year. Yeah, Korostin had 27 points to lead the team. Parenteau at 22. Yeah, looks like they have a pretty damn good-looking roster. Matthew Cataford's actually playing still. Huh, interesting. What about defensively for them? Jacobs looks like some good defense. Oh, the Frederick Lundin guy. Yeah, okay, he's won a Stanley Cup now. He hasn't really grown a lot since he got drafted, but still Stanley Cup winner. And then goalies, Yaroslav Askarov went back to Nashville in this universe. That's actually quite hilarious. After some time at San Jose and Tampa, of course. Yaroslav Askarov, the Nashville Predators savior, huh? All right. So those are the Stanley Cup champion Predators, just in case you guys want to take a look at that. Awards. Nashville wins the Stanley Cup for the first time, maybe in franchise history. I think they've never won before in this universe. We did win the President's Trophy, which is kind of a cool thing to have, but obviously no Stanley Cup. Nashville, Tampa, Stanley Cup Finals. Tampa was also in the finals in 2037. Didn't they win that year, we said? Yeah, they did. So I guess I could see maybe why we lost to them, just because they had won a Stanley Cup before. Individual awards, Celebrini with the Art Ross in the Hart. Schaefer wins the Norris in Winnipeg. Celebrini to Lady Byng. McClement the Calder for Colorado. Groston the Conn Smythe for Nashville. Pyatt the Vezina for St. Louis. Prince the Jennings for Calgary, him and Boileau. Andrews wins the Masterton for Florida. Ryan Warsofsky, the Jack Adams winner for the Detroit Red Wings. Vikingstad the Selke for Edmonton. Celebrini to Lindsay. And Michkov the Richard. AHL-wise, any awards for our AHL team? Probably not. Oh, Mahalik does have one. Best rookie player. Let's go, Mahalik. Good for him. Coach was the best goaltender in the AHL. He might be our backup next season, or likely will be our backup, I think, because I probably prefer him over the other guy that could be an NHL goalie. Or maybe the other guy's going to be a depth goalie. I'm not too sure, but there's the awards. Now let's find out the draft lottery results and all that stuff. I'm curious on what the draft class is going to look like this year, too. That's another thing we got to take into account for next episode, is how important the draft class is still to us. So Vegas will have first overall, followed by Minnesota, Columbus, Florida, and Ottawa. So that's here's top 5. All right. Let's see the retirements. Not that we're going to lose anybody yet on this team, but I'm just curious if there's any big names. So from a forward perspective, the big names, Jack Hughes, Nick Suzuki, Matt Boldy. So some big names, Elias Pettersson, Beniers. A lot of guys over 1,000 points. A lot of guys. Damn. All right. So there is all that. I don't really care to scroll all the way to the bottom, but I'm going to just in case there was any random guy that we had on our roster that retired at like 31 or something like that at any point. Like this guy, Zach Kearns. There's one that you guys might remember. 32 years old. He retires. And yeah, former 4th rounder in 2026. So he's our first guy to retire in this universe, I think, of ours, or that played games in Europe. So shout out to him. And also Master Liskey, too. Can't forget about Master Liskey. Almost forgot about him. And he hasn't played since that season with us. Damn. That's crazy. Shout out to those 2 guys. I knew there would be a couple probably near the bottom. Who is this dude? Oh, this guy as well. Cyril Keller, too. A lot of our early picks that we had in our first year retiring. All these guys were pretty trash, but it's still kind of cool to see them all hang up their skates. So if you remember these guys, you definitely have been watching the entire series because those guys were some of the original team players. From a defensive standpoint, best defenders, Dahlin and Heiskanen, Brock Faber up there too. Anyone that used to play with us again, out of curiosity, just because it's kind of funny when you see those random ass names and you're like, I remember him from year 1. Not the case. Ronald Reagan. Why does this guy seem familiar? 2029 and retired at 31 from Chicago. Damn. Some weird generated guys retiring already. And then the best goaltender, Spencer Knight, to retire. And nobody that used to play with us. Interesting. All right. So there is the retirements this season. Any coach retirements? Nobody for us in the NHL and nobody for the AHL. That's good. That is good. All right. Draft interviews. We are not going to do any draft interviews because we rather just look at the draft class as is. But first and foremost, we have to look at the progress reports, the contract situation, and then the draft class. So progress reports for our forward group. Looks like Rogers still pretty much getting some statistical growth a little bit. He's only an 84. A lot of these guys are only second-line forwards. So maybe that's still why we're kind of a weaker team. But looks like we still have some pretty damn good depth down the middle in a way. Klinga is a 93, still a first-line forward. Lost a second-line forward, which is not ideal. He's also a pending free agent. I forgot about that. So do we bring back the guy that has a lot of penalty minutes this offseason? I kind of want to hold on to him, but he's not a huge scorer. I wonder how much he's going to demand. Kuda's up to a 79 now, which is nice. At third line scoring forward, though, which is kind of insane. Right wing, Hiromis a 92, Nakamura 85. Looks like we still have a pretty good forward group. As long as we re-sign mostly everybody. Like I said, Urquhart leaving is going to likely happen because he's listed as a top 2 at this point. And we need more playing time for Polak and Richardson. So yeah, likely Urquhart's going to be a free agent because Polak and Richardson keep growing. Maltby probably will still be a depth defenseman if we want to, or we could use Ullman as a depth defenseman at this point because he's already 24. And then from a goaltending perspective, Simic looks like he got a little bit more growth. Forster didn't get any more growth. And in the system, and Bull's listed as an 83 overall starting goalie. We also have Coach as a 79 starter. Tambellini is a 77 minor starting goalie. And Hextall is a 72. So we do have a logjam still in net. Who do we want to have as the backup to Simic next year? I kind of want Coach, I think, because Ambul, I honestly don't know if I'll hold on to Ambul. I know he's an 83 starting goalie, but we could play him in the AHL still with Tambellini, but we got to get Hextall some playing time. So the goalie situation is going to be really cloudy going forward. From a defensive standpoint, Krejci's growing well. 72 at 21 is a little elite. Love to see that. Kovalik's also growing, but he's already 22. Looks like we might need still some more defensive prospects. Forward-wise, Appleby's a 75, Savon's a 72. Not really any good right wingers really on our team. Brookwitz, 78 at 20. He's definitely going to make the NHL next year, so he's going to be somebody that needs to replace a fourth liner for sure. Nichols might be gone, or he might be held onto as a depth option. Tough to say at this point. And then from a center perspective, Henry should maybe make our fourth line next year, so Yeah, maybe our bottom six is going to change up a little bit. Miller could be still brought back as a depth forward / AHLer if we want to just hold on to that depth. And then Mahalik might grow enough to be an NHLer next year, but I'm not too sure if he will. But it looks like we're at least getting some good growth from some of those guys. So, liking the looks for our team going forward. Final few things, let's take a look at the contract situation and then the draft class, of course. So the guys that are expiring this offseason that are important, of course, Urquhart, Law. Polak's going to need a new contract as an RFA. He's going to be expensive. Same goes with Richardson and Fernandez. So yeah, likely Urquhart will be gone for sure because he's going to demand $12 million. He does have full organizational interest, so at this rate, you would be able to drop him down by a good chunk if you use like a no movement clause and stuff like that. But with trying to get playing time for Polak and Richardson, I think has to be a priority. I think it does. Polak is trying to get a lot of money right now, too. And he does have the organizational interest, but he wants only a 3-year deal as of right now. Richardson, on the other hand, he doesn't want as much. Richardson could be definitely a guy we could lock up long term, but his playing time is always going to be maybe dwindled because Powell is in front of him. But if we don't get Lee back in the offseason next year, we kind of need to have that solidity in that top 4, I think. So I think it might be important to sign these guys up long term if we can, and then let go of Urquhart. Law, on the other hand, like I said, I'm not too sure what he's going to ask for. Only a 1-year deal at 6.15, and he does have organizational interest. So to you guys, is Law worth over $5 million as a third-line left winger that might play in the top 6, that could fight and all that stuff? I think he's worth that type of money, and I wouldn't mind holding on to him for that price point. Barrett and all these guys, we might have to think about replacing them just because of the fact that there's some AHLers ready to push them out. But these guys are still dirt cheap, so if we want to hold on to them and play them in the AHL and then just call them up if we need them, we could do that. But these guys are players that are likely that we could replace, I think, because we could get Henry in instead of some of these options, and of course Berkowitz as well. So you guys can let me know if you think Barrett, Bradford, Mullen should be let go of. Kuda definitely will be still playing, of course, because he's a young guy, but definitely we can play some of these older veterans if we want to. And then from a goaltending perspective, Forster obviously is a pending free agent. So we have Ambuhl, who's also a pending UFA. Ambuhl, of course, only wants $950K as a 25-year-old 83. That's not bad, to be honest. And then Coach, like I said, we could use him as a backup if we want to. He only wants $900K too. So I don't still know who should be the backup option behind Simic, of course. But Forster probably should be gone. He doesn't want a lot, though, anymore. So we could hold on to him if we really want to. But at the same time, he is 29. Like, we could let Forster retire with this club if you guys have some sentimental value to him. But I feel like he's dropped off a lot. And then we could always run Ambuhl and Coach instead as some backup / depth goalie options. But I think Forster probably still has to go, but he's definitely not going to be as pricey as he once was, which is kind of nice. So there is the contract situation. Final thing is the draft class. How good is this draft class looking for us? Let's first go to the draft board just to see where we're drafting, which is going to be 31st overall. So that's going to be kind of tough. But let's view this class and see if there's anything great for us to take that we could potentially grab. So first and foremost, Germany. Do they have any interesting prospects projected late? They do. And it's a right winger. We do need right winger prospects, so that's not a bad option. Devin Malhotra, low elite power forward from Poland. He is listed as a gem, probably around a 65 overall, but he should be NHL ready in a few years. He has goal scoring as a strength, so I kind of like this low elite power forward a lot, considering he's actually supposed to go around our pick too. Because we won't be able to grab Richardson because he's going earlier. Pino's a medium 9. Aside from that, there's another low elite left winger. He's 19 years old, Edgar Cutler. Ooh, all right. I was not expecting those type of attributes, but it's probably because he's older. But he's 2 years out. Edgar Cutler, probably a really good option to steal in the later round just to help out with the forward depth. So I think right now, Malhotra is my first round option. Cutler's definitely like a 5th round option or something like that, maybe even earlier if we want to. Because I don't think it's worth grabbing like a medium 9 or something like that. But Germany has some interesting prospects this year, so that's good. What about Switzerland? We won't be able to draft Cardwell because he's going too early. This guy's another option for a late first round pick. Landon Sumol. 2 years out, 65, probably 68 or overall, somewhere around that. Nothing crazy, but he's still a good center prospect, of course. Same goes with Byron Little. Same type of option there. And there is a gem top 6, but I would assume he's a lower overall. No, never mind, he's not a lower overall. He's probably around the same. But I would still probably take the low elite over those guys for sure. Just because I love those low elites, as you guys know. Czech Republic. Nothing crazy. There's a high fringe starter goalie if we want to get ourselves another goalie prospect in case. But aside from that, nothing really crazy in Czechia. What about Austria? Low top 9, that's not really insane, so I don't really care about that. Sweden has a German that is probably a medium top 4. If we need more defensive prospects. Aside from that, is there any actual steals in here? Doesn't really look like it. Yikes. Finland does have a guy supposed to go high up. Of course, we're not going to be able to draft him or this guy because he's supposed to go earlier than our pick, but he could be an elite player too. And then there's Gogol, who could be a low elite offensive defenseman that's projected late first round, but he also could be a low 4. I'm leaning towards a low elite considering he's projected where he is. There's also a couple gems that we can't draft because they're from Sweden, of course. And then there's a bunch of Norwegians and stuff that don't look fully scouted. So I think right now we don't really know about the depth of this draft, how good it's going to be, but I think there is at least some decent options for us early on. Because if we go by just basically the players we had scouted out, or pinned, I should say, I think we already kind of know who our first round pick's going to be, and that should be that low elite. And then that other low elite option we had as well, I think has to be a pick too. So, yeah, I think we're leaning towards Malhotra first round. Cutler is a later round pick. And I'm not too sure about the other parts of the draft, but I think we're going to be able to grab ourselves some at least 4 prospects that could help out with the depth, of course, in case we end up losing guys soon to retirement and that type of thing. So, anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of a European Draft Glory franchise mode. So, next episode, we'll take it to another offseason. We'll look to maintain our roster for the most part, but probably let go of some tough names just to kind of change things up a little bit. And also because of the cap demand and all that. But I think our team still should be pretty good going into next season. I'm just obviously not too sure if they're going to be the type of team that makes it back to the conference finals again, or if they're a team that can maybe go to a Stanley Cup finals, or they'll get back to being like a first or second round exit. So let us know down below, and I'll see you guys next time.